Thank you all for showing up. And yeah, the Richmond Progressive Alliance has stated very clearly that they are in support of the family of Pedie Perez in seeking justice for what happened, and because it's been obfuscated by the bureaucracy and by the judicial system and by the district attorney's office. There's a lot that needs to be brought to light on this case so that justice can be served. So our heart goes out to the family, and we really admire your courage for standing strong in this whole year and trying to keep the light shining on the issue that needs to be addressed. Unfortunately, with cases of power, as we all know all too well, the abuse of power is a very common thing, and so even though it's painful, it's heartwarming to have a group of people who are standing up to the powers that be and seeking justice. So thank you.
Thank you, Cornell. Thank you very much. Listen, this struggle for justice has to be waged on several fronts. We go to churches. Okay. We go to the churches. We try to talk to people at the churches. We go in the community. We go to the projects. We go to the campuses. We've been up here. You can't hear me. You all can't hear me?
Talk louder.
They're always talking about I'm loud. All right, well, here you go. Just know that we have to deal with the newspapers, for instance. When Pedie was killed, it wasn't just a matter of trying to figure out where. We had to deal with the fact that the police, it's one thing, they kill a man, and then they start to attack his character. That's the second assassination. And we see this as a pattern for the police. They always do this. They try to justify the unjustifiable by making it look like this person who they just murdered was in some way a discredit to humanity. Okay? It's sad, but that's what we have to fight back. Okay? We have fortunately been able to get several journalists to step up and to write the family side of this story. And I'm very glad that we were successful in that. Now, in Oakland, the Oscar Grant Committee was very active in the case of Alan Bluford. We had a very difficult situation because we were dealing with a city council there that was basically rotten from top, just rotten, totally rotten. We actually shut down the city council meetings on 3 separate occasions because they lied. They said they were going to present the police report to the family, and they kept playing games. It's not a game. They deserve to be shut down. In Richmond, we did not have the same base of support, but also it was a different situation. In this city, a part of the city council is with an organization called the Richmond Progressive Alliance. We looked into this organization. We talked with them. No, we didn't agree on everything from the beginning. It takes work, but we stayed with it. And now, the Richmond Progressive Alliance, for the most part, agrees with the Oscar Grant Committee and the Pedie Perez's family that this indeed was murder. So one of the things that's going to happen is this Tuesday, we're going to pay the City Council another visit. We've been there twice already with a proposal. I would like you all to please take a minute, read it. I don't want to read it now. You can read. Go get one. We have them on the table right there, right here. And we're talking about attempts all over this country, because this is not something that is unique to Richmond or Oakland, right? All over this country, we're having this problem of DAs trying to cover up murder of these police forces. So what we're going to do is we're going to suggest that a new body be created that will make this information public immediately. Recently, there was a newspaper columnist, I think, what's his name, Johnson, Chip Johnson, that's his name. He writes this thing, he says, hey, you guys against police brutality, y'all support everybody. That's true. We were opposed to police murder, period. We think that the police should seek to apprehend an ostensible criminal without killing them. Wow, what a novel idea. He points out, though, that some of these people, in some cases, the police had no choice, they say, but to take that life. We challenge that. We don't agree with that. In Oakland, you may be aware of the fact that we have a system set up whereby if any citizen is killed by the police, we have a vigil and a march that night. That night. Now, does that mean that some of these people may have been questionable, the circumstances under which they were killed? Of course there are questions. It requires investigation. Do we believe the police? No. To ask the question is to answer that. Do we believe what is in the newspapers? No. We have to investigate. But in the meantime, Black Lives Matter. Every life matters for us from our position of, excuse me, the Oscar Grant Committee. So let me show you something. So they're saying, well, there's a debate now. They say, well, you can't say all lives matter. Who can't say all lives matter? They say, well, some reactionaries said it the other day when somebody said black lives, somebody said all. Listen, let's not be confused. In order to win this battle, to stop the murder of citizens by the police, we may have to have a regime change here in America. In order for that to happen, white workers and black workers are going to have to struggle together. We're going to have to realize that the majority of people that get killed by the police in this country are white. Oh, yeah. Now, of course, the number of blacks is disproportionate. But they kill white people, too. Don't be silly. We don't support the police when they kill white people. Oh, they kill white people, that's all right. No, that's madness. We oppose police murder of citizens, period. Okay? And I wish I could share with you the statistics around this so you understand. We don't play that game. This is not a racial game. See, this is a question for humanity. And we must win this battle. And in order to win this battle, we need unity. And in order to have unity, we have to respect everyone, every life. Okay? So please just know we have information about Pedie, about the lying DA. Here's the facts for you. We also have an update, and I'm going to share this with you now. The police, thinking that, they could prove their case, did a DNA test on Wallace Jensen's, his holster, because they lied and said, oh, Pedie tried to take his gun. Well, in a desperate struggle where people are trying to get, he's trying to take the gun ostensibly, right? Now, in fact, Pedie was laying on his right arm. He couldn't have took the cop's gun if he wanted to. But in reality, if he was reaching for that gun, his DNA would have showed up on the holster. So the cops did that test, and guess what? Nothing. Bullseye. We're right again. I don't want to be right all the time, but we're right again. Pedie never touched that cop's holster. Never. Which means what? Which means he never seriously tried to take that cop's gun. Which means what? Which means he was murdered. Don't give up the fight. Every day we get new information. That pig should be locked up. That's right. We're not going to give up on this. So we're going to show up at the Richmond City Council with what I just told you, this document here.
Time, date, and place, Richmond City Council.
Okay, time, date, and place is Tuesday. What is it, 5 o'clock? What time? We supposed to be there? Well, we be showing up at 5 o'clock because we be trying to get the information to the people. All right? But it's certainly, you can go to their website and see exactly what time. let's say 6 o'clock they start, okay?
Second line, 6 o'clock.
That's right. We'll be out there doing what we're doing now, trying to get the truth to the people, okay? And we strongly urge any of you that are interested to join us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being here today. Many of the people that are here today I met the first time when Derek was shot and killed and murdered by a South City cop. Uncle Bobby was there. So many people that supported me, I didn't even know who they were. And I've been tireless in trying to give back to this community that came out for me. My nephew was 15. He and his friend, it was 8:30 at night. The gas station's full at the Arco station in South San Francisco. And he and his buddy were, slushing around. McDonald's is next door, so they were walking back and forth. But everybody cuts through the gas station. And he and his buddy were cutting through the gas station, and here comes this cop swooping in and to stop them to find out why they were in the middle of the gas station. And my nephew, Derek, who was 15, they both said, we're doing nothing. And then Derek turned and ran. And the cop hit him over the head with a gun, and as Derek started to sit up from the ground, a weapon came out of his belongings. It skidded across the tarmac. And the cop saw that and decided that was risky and shot him point blank in the neck. As it turns out, this gas station was full of people, and unfortunately they were all pumping their gas. Nobody had a cell phone out. There was a woman right next to my nephew, and she said there was absolutely no risk at all. And then, of course, the sad part of this was this weapon that Derek was carrying around, 15-year-old acting like a big guy, hiding this thing in his clothing, had no firing pin, no bullets. It had, when I went to read the investigative report in San Mateo that the district attorney did, there was absolutely no history on this gun. It was probably sitting around somebody's house and some kid got hold of it, and how kids are, ooh. And this gun had been bought in a hardware store in Sacramento that had been out of business for years. And so, why do teenagers do these things? I mean, who knows? But in any event, my nephew lost his life that night, 10 minutes from our home in South San Francisco. He left a little brother who was only 4.5, and that little boy has to live now with never having another sibling, and often talks to me because I'm raising him too, as I raised Derek. He talks about his brother all the time. He's going to the same school. He's playing with the same toys. It's a heartbreaking experience for everybody. The whole community that knew Derek was just, overwhelmed. But here again, when it comes to, down to it, the public needs to believe that these cops that they've put into power are believable. They're just. And so they don't like, the minute this gun was mentioned anywhere, then they all shut down. After all, I hear that all the time, and I've been fighting it for 3 years. They just have to believe these cops are right. And so, it went out immediately in the press, allegedly pointed a gun at a cop. Did not happen that way. It's even in Wikipedia like that, allegedly. But who looks at allegedly? They don't read allegedly. They hear pointed a gun at a cop. And so this misinformation immediately goes out because the cops have to say something why they did this horrible thing. And if it was so clear-cut, I went down and read for 5 hours the investigative report. If it was so clear-cut, why did they stage the entire thing again in that gas station? They had all the cars in certain positions. They had to figure out, really what was going on there. The primary witness, who I was lucky to have, a wonderful person, she said no. She didn't see any threat whatsoever, but she wasn't exactly listened to a lot in this investigation, as you can imagine. So when I went to read the whole investigative report in San Mateo, they were so skittish. It was like nobody comes to read these things, I guess. And they said don't take any photos or anything like that. So of course I was photographing most of the critical pages with my cell phone. And and for me, who's never done any of that, I was like, ugh. But anyway, I got out of there with a lot of the critical information stuff that like the cops said, well, we had to give him CPR because we knew if we at least we had to pretend we were doing it so we wouldn't get sued. This is all in the investigative report. See, they talk about all kinds of things in that report because they're talking to their own, and they don't think the public's going to ever read that or see that. So I agree that we cannot have these DAs investigating their own people, their own cops, their own they're all in cahoots. Why do they want to? They're not going to go up against these guys. So and I'm trying in my it took me 3 years to just come out of this horrible fog and depression, and I'm fighting all I can. I've got Derek's little brother 7 that I'm raising, and whenever I can be out there, I'm out there. And just a lot of times I have to say, hey, he's got to go to bed, he's got school the next day, but if I can be here to support you guys, I'm here.